This podcast is rated PG-13. Parents strongly cautioned. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Hey guys, we're watching Spielberg movie.
Yay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We were going to watch the other one, but then I decided to push that back for reasons.
For this one.
This one. Because there's a commentary track for the Western Front one. So I want to incorporate that one.
That sounds good.
Fabelmans.
I started reading the book too, and the book is quite good.
Oh, wow.
All is quiet
Western
on the
Front.
Western Front. Yeah.
I had to read that in school. You didn't have to read that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I may have, but I didn't.
Yeah. Spark Notes. I looked at the Spark Notes page.
Yeah, now kids will just do it with the AI, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be easy now.
So The Fabelmans came out in 2022.
Fabelmans.
This is like the first
Sure did.
movie that Spielberg had written in a very long time, which is
That's true.
kind of surprising. He just directs most of the time. It's got 7 nominations for Oscars,
Wow.
which
That's
is
good
pretty
stuff.
good. And it's my turn to go first. So,
Oh, Danny.
yeah.
Go
So,
for it.
Spielberg,
Yep.
he's one of the
Good
best
guy.
directors of all time. We have a lot of his movies in the list. He's tied for number 1, right? He has 7 movies on this list. I
Yep.
don't know all of them.
Iconic stuff too. Not just like good movies, but like culture shaping. Yeah, I mean,
Stuff
just,
they showed us in
yeah.
school, right?
Yeah.
Like he has movies that are shown in school, that sort of thing. Plus, he's also like a blockbuster kind of guy. Like what?
right.
what
It's
movie-
not
Yeah,
just
these
art,
are-
not
these are
just
big
art,
movies.
but
These
are
big movies.
But yeah.
He's kind of unique
That's
in
what
that
I was
regard,
trying to
right?
say.
'Cause,
And
like,
said it badly.
I mean, even this one had that feel. That it was just big. It's a big. It was just a big movie.
It was
Think
big.
about how much they had to shoot.
yeah,
to get
and
the
it's some
fucking thing to be
unnecessary
that long.
stuff. But
Yeah.
I expect, with all that being said, Spielberg being one of the best directors ever, the past 20 years for Spielberg haven't been the best. I watch all of his stuff in between the Ready Player One and the BFG and
Right.
Tintin and the newest Indiana Jones movie. They're
Oof,
not
that
that
was
great,
bad, yeah.
right? Terminal is really not good.
I thought was West Side Story good. I've heard some.
I
people
couldn't
say
get through it, but I don't like musicals, so I'm not a good.
Yeah,
that's true.
I don't like
for
that whole
one.
story, so it wouldn't be a good one
Yeah.
either.
Okay.
But if you like it, it's supposed to be good. I don't know. And there's something to be said about the way he shoots now. Everything is really weirdly clean. That
This one wasn't.
It was a little bit.
It had a little bit of a tinge.
It did, but I didn't mind it. So this movie, I was my bar was kind of low because I was well, it's going to be War Horse or something super sentimental, and it's just going to be oozing with sentimentality, and only people who love to cry from minute 1 will like it.
Right.
To cry the
Yeah, it's
entire
gonna
movie.
Be very schmaltzy.
I didn't know what this
Yeah.
movie was going to be about. I was kind of surprised at the.
I knew it was semi-autobiographical, but that was about it. I didn't expect it. So
Was it really though?
it was. So
wow.
as far as I watched a 2.5 hour long Spielberg documentary as well that went over a lot of his history and stuff. And even as far as the weird ass haircut on Michelle Williams, that was friggin' spot on.
Yeah.
That was
Really?
what his mom had.
No
Yeah.
shit.
'Cause I thought that was one of the weirdest parts of the movie, being that's a fucking weird haircut. It looks like a wig or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nope.
It did.
That was his mom.
That's how his mom had her hair. So very strange. And
His dad looked like Paul Dano.
Yep. His dad was a little
Oh.
fatter than Paul Dano, but it was pretty damn close. The
Interesting.
mannerisms and everything were
Were
really
there.
spot on. They used, that's trivia stuff. I really like this movie.
So-
I was really surprised at how much I like this movie. It was really funny. It took me maybe a half an hour to get into the acting style because it was kind of a little movie-ish, but I did end up getting into it, and a lot of the dramatic stuff hit pretty good towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed I saw a lot of other movies in this. It seemed like Back to the Future, a lot of it with the bullying and the dance thing and the
Yeah.
back in the
Just
40s or
childhood
50s,
shit.
whatever, childhood shit.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to really exist anymore that way, right? That it just doesn't. I was getting that feel. I was this kind of was what I went through in high school, but even more so ridiculous, the varsity stuff and all that. That. I mean, it was. I hear what you're saying.
And I think, I don't know. It's really hard to kind of remove that Spielberg did this one because I'm not sure how I would have felt if I didn't have expectations going into it, sort of thing. And it's also
also having oddly low expectations.
yeah, I think so.
Strangely,
Yeah, because
Right.
Meaning that you were ready for the surprise and delight.
I was happy when it
you were
wasn't terrible.
He's not gonna. Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you were hoping that it wasn't going to be a miserable son of a bitch, and
Right.
then it turned out to be good. Yeah,
and we're
right.
coming off of like Argentina, which I expected to be good because like that kind of movie usually is something that I like.
Don't even get me
Yep.
started.
I know.
Yeah.
So like I was ready. I was ready to like be like, well, whatever. All movies suck now, apparently. But no, like this movie it did a lot of stuff like giving credit to like old movies and things like that. I thought it was kind of weird because I know a bit about Spielberg, and they went with a Greatest Show on Earth as his like big motivation to be a director, but it was really Lawrence of Arabia, and they don't even mention Lawrence of Arabia in this movie at all, which was weird.
Well, that wouldn't have fit in the story.
But
like
it's a bummer because that is such a great movie.
Yeah.
It would have
yeah,
been-
but he used so many things of like the growing up part of being a kid and
No, the train really,
set
yeah,
and
the
like
train
that.
really
Like,
worked.
You're not
going to
have some kid in America growing up and hearing about something in fucking.
I guess so.
Iraq,
Maybe
right?
it doesn't hit the nostalgia thing.
It doesn't.
that it's
Right.
Maybe I guess, but oh man, I would have liked it even more though had that been the influence because I like that film a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was
I don't
cool
know.
when they had John Ford in there. That was a pretty good scene. I like that. It was kind of
apparently-
weirdly comical. A lot of it, even though there's some
according
pretty
to
heavy
Wikipedia,
stuff.
that was like word for word what he said to Spielberg.
Huh.
According to the Wikipedia article, and then it was, you know who it was playing John Ford. Do you? Do I get to surprise you?
Yeah, surprise me.
It's David Lynch.
That was David Lynch.
The
Really?
David Lynch, yes.
Ah. Did David Lynch decide to
I
put an
didn't
eye patch on
recognize
him?
him at all. Yeah.
I don't know about the eye patch piece. He just agreed to be on set as long as there were Cheetos.
Huh.
What? Cheetos are
Again,
cheap.
from
you can get them
the
anywhere.
Wikipedia page. I don't know.
Dude, I'm looking at a picture of him now. Lynch is looking old.
Yeah,
He is old.
He is old. He's been
Yeah.
around a while.
No, it's very amazing how
Also,
fast
what
life is
we call
going.
being old.
I mean, I felt like his life took a long time to get through. Because
Spielberg
he didn't really age much. Yeah, right?
No,
were
this is, like,
3
really
hours
early
into
on.
it. I know, but
Yeah.
it was just like a lot of could have happened, and he ended pretty much before right? Spoilers, but it was just I was not anticipating it to go from that little chunk of time for him. I was expecting it to be a little bit longer.
like go into the actual movies, not stop when he gets
Yes.
his first
Yeah,
CD
it
gig.
Yes.
stopped where it
Right,
stopped. Yeah, David
right,
Lynch is
right,
77 years old.
He looks
So-
older than that. I might not be the best judge of how old
He
people
always
look
kind of
anymore.
looked a little bit old though. He didn't.
77. I don't
Wise
know.
beyond
yeah.
his years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or just tired from the.
You're an old
From making
soul.
confusing
David.
movies.
I'm 77. What do you want? Yeah, well, you look older than that.
I think I would recommend this to anyone who's a Spielberg fan. It's kind of hard to put it, anywhere close to his other movies that are like, Jaws or
Fantasy kinda. This was a very realistic.
This is
Yeah.
different. Yeah, this is like
Yeah.
personal to him. So it sort of, yeah.
And it's weird because like in the documentary, they went through kind of the 2000s. Like they went from the beginning of his career to, I think the BFG was like the last one in the documentary. And it's crazy to think that he's like the best director, one of the best directors ever. And most of his movies are like fantasy or sci-fi or horror movies,
Mhm.
right? Even though like he has Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan and a couple other ones
Right.
that stand out. But like most of his movies are just complete fantasy movies, which is pretty sweet because if you look at other directors that, are the best ever, like Billy Wilder, Alfred Hitchcock and things like that, it's not like none of them are fantasy.
Right.
Really?
That's true. And not just that, but he goes edgy. He goes like, he wants to really scare you. He wants, so it's not like with Jaws or with Poltergeist, right? He wants that, again, because he's the reason for the PG-13 rating, right? Because he wants that level of scare, but it's still almost seemingly family oriented in some ways.
Jaws has a shot where a kid is being eaten by a shark and there's a gush of red blood coming out of the
That's
water
right.
as the kid is being killed.
That's right. That's
That's
what
PG.
you watch. That's family
That's
night.
fine. Scared the shit out of everyone alive that
Oh
had
my
seen
God,
it.
yeah.
But I mean, this is a pretty cool story. If you're interested in how he grew up, it's pretty accurate, even though I kind of had a hard time. I got into the way the movie was done. It doesn't seem very realistic. It's not done in like a realistic kind of way. It's done in like a airy kind of fantasy, kind of reminiscent way.
It seems
Like a
I don't know.
nostalgia?
Yeah, like
I don't
nostalgia.
know. Like I felt, the one thing that I was sort of looking forward to, I thought would happen, and it didn't feel this way. Like so his characters are so likable when he does interactions between whether they're friends or family. You get like this great sense of just, I don't know. It's just very likable. Like whether it's E.T. or Poltergeist or the way the family interacts and stuff. And I felt very strange about his family. Like I didn't find them likable. I felt detached from them watching, and I didn't quite understand it. I didn't hate the movie or anything, but I was thinking there was going to somehow be more, I don't know, like personableness or something to these characters. Maybe that's how they really were. Maybe it's more like in this sort of like vein of this is maybe how you kind of think of your parents. You don't necessarily. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Because I felt weird
Not
watching
really.
this about like his dad and his mom and the family scenes in particular. Just
Well, I
felt
felt
very
the
strange.
mom was weird. Like the scene towards the beginning where they don't really explain it to you what's wrong with her, right? It's like there's something
Right.
wrong with her. There's a scene where she steals all the kids except for the baby and like chases after
Goes
a
to the tornado.
I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is this? Like, is
Yeah,
she,
that made no sense.
It was like
But-
her
but
trying.
apparently-
It was like setting her up as like not having
As
what she wants and
unhinged?
looking for excitement that she's
you
not
think?
getting
Yeah,
from.
yeah,
her
I got
Her
like
husband.
this person is mentally unstable, and I thought
Well,
maybe
that
she would
too.
like drop out of the movie as a main character after that, but she.
I think she was bored with the husband. I mean, I think this was a very related. This is a very common thing for that time frame too, from husbands and wives, where like you had the bored housewife with the kids, and
Right.
then you had
She's
the husband
trapped.
doing the work, and it's the
Right.
the typical patriarchy. No, no, but
Yes.
yes. But it's also like she was in love with someone else, so she couldn't really do anything about that, and I think she just needed some excitement because she wasn't pursuing her dreams, and it was like they were trying to set up all that stuff, which would then allow for the fact that she's cheating on her husband,
Yeah.
and then. I think that also helped with like setting her up to be a person that will exit at some point from the family. I just think it was like a normal family shitty drama situation where parents split up, and there's like there's nothing redeemable about them because they don't really want to be together except for the fact that the husband did, or really the husband just wanted to do his job. I mean, That's all he really
was
wanted
also.
to do.
I mean, and maybe that
Right?
there was just sort of like there's a sense of distance between the parents, between the kid and the parents.
Right.
It's like they don't hate each other,
But they know that they're not all hunky dory,
or they're all
everybody's
wrapped up in
happy
their
and-
own concerns too.
Yep. Well, and,
even
the
like,
sister points that out
yeah,
later on, right? That the selfishness that the kid sees is basically the selfishness of
Right.
himself, and then all that other shit.
right, and Judd Hirsch coming in and giving the whole spiel about this is
you're
art,
gonna
the
have-
art.
yeah.
You're going to do
Yeah,
this.
right.
This is going to, and so maybe that's kind of what they're going after in the sense. They're not like you're not going to get this nostalgic, warm family drama stuff.
Not when you're an
Or
artist
this
and you're trying to
personableness.
pursue.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you've got the people around you, which is a lot of people at times. I mean, or maybe all the time. I don't know. You're wrapped up in your work. You're wrapped up in what you thought you should have gotten out of life or something. And so that's not a very, I don't know. That's not a movie like thing to just kind of show so passively, I guess. And that's the way they did it. And it was just weird. I wanted to like them more, and I didn't. But that may be the
I
point.
think that they were doing that on purpose because
yeah.
they were trying to say, like, the mother didn't pursue her dreams.
Right.
So now she's unhappy.
Right.
And she's finding ways to excite herself otherwise, right? Like the tornado, the husband, the friend, and
Right.
so on.
And it's so different than the Spielberg movies where some of these characters are so goddamn likable. The kid, Gabriel Labelle was very likable.
He was great, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he was really, really good. But the rest of the characters, usually there's an interplay or stuff between these really good sort of movies that we see. And I think I was kind of wanting that. I was like hoping for that and not getting that. But you're right, that this isn't what the film was trying to do at all.
No.
I feel like the
yeah.
disconnect between the parents definitely, exactly what TC said. The way I took it was that it
That
just
makes sense.
aided to the realism of where the relationship goes. Because if they
Yeah,
were like
yeah.
buddy, then you'd be like, well, why are they getting divorced?
Right.
And why are the kids, torn and what, all that.
Right. But even Paul, like he's distant from his dad's sort of distant from that whole thing. You'd say, yeah, it's amicable, but I think you said it really well, TC, that he just wants to do his job.
He just wants to work. Yeah.
Right.
And he wants his kid to fucking work. And in his mind, film isn't work. So
Right.
like it
But he
causes all
starts
this
to
strife
sort of-
between the three of them. And,
right.
that kind of shit makes people go separate ways.
Yeah.
Only to figure out later that it was, upsetting. But
Well, and then, don't
tough
worry,
shit.
Dad, I can still be a workaholic in film.
Well,
It's
and then
okay.
if the dad finally gets there, like, oh, right, you're still going to do like all this
Yeah.
shit.
You still can be an obsessive person.
Yeah, isn't that going to be great, kid? You're going to be all work all the time, and you're not going to do anything else. And actually, you know what? I really respect that. So go do your film stuff.
Yeah, you can do a different career, and we can still have cats in the cradle apply. That's what we want.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
Odd to see Seth Rogen in a non-stoner role. I don't know when I've seen him in a non-stoner role.
It was weird.
Ever. Yeah.
He was mediocre.
He was out of place, I think.
Yeah.
He was just being Seth, maybe just less stoned, but still Seth, it seemed.
But I thought besides him, like all the other characters, like the Judd Hirsch and the grandmother was pretty funny sometimes. And I like the bully character was really good too, I thought.
I found that whole story strange.
Really?
I was confused on what that whole thing was at the end there where, because like he show, in the beginning there where he's filming the mother, like he's filming the mother, but like doesn't know that he's filming the mother. And then he's doing it again at the skip day.
That part kind of, I think what they were trying to show is that it was so subtle that like, if you just watched it not over and over again, you'd miss it, which is what everyone was doing in the situation. But like, I thought the same thing where I was like, it's kind of obvious that they're grabbing each other and like they're 10 feet away from everybody else.
Yeah. And also like, what's the deal? Like, I think they're trying to say that he was so enveloped in the shooting of it that he was detached from seeing the reality right in front of him. But I don't know if I got that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
by the time we had to see it again from the dude that he made look great for some reason because he had some man crush on him that wasn't a man crush.
No, I think he was just doing it so the guy wouldn't bully him anymore. He thought he was doing him a favor, but then didn't realize that it would piss him off too, because
or just confuse
now he
him.
Can't live up to the,
I just found it weird that like they somehow connected that to the mother because he did the same thing to the mother.
Oh yeah,
where he's where he's in a situation and he's filming them, but not really understanding that he's doing it until he's seeing it in the edit. It was just it was a bizarre storyline that I don't know necessarily had.
I didn't see that in the bully
overthinking
one.
it.
I don't think so. I didn't see that same kind of thing.
I didn't see the
in
parallel.
the bully.
Yeah, I didn't see the
story.
parallel.
I thought he just took footage of him like kicking ass at the race sort of thing.
Yeah, but he was the one shooting it, so he had to shoot the stuff first.
And I'm not sure if he. I'm not sure.
But
if
I don't know.
He
didn't know to do that. I don't think when he was doing it. That's the point, right?
Oh.
Like, yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think he did it on purpose. But yet it's the same thing he was doing to the mother. So why?
Well, he definitely did make the asshole seem like an asshole. Like he purposely got footage of that guy being a jerk and then made him look like an idiot.
Oh yeah, like that was on purpose.
Right.
But the other thing I don't think was. It just didn't seem like it was. I don't know. It was a very strange.
I think he meant so. I don't know if he was like getting the shots that he wanted, but I think he definitely edited it to one, make fun of the bad bully, and two, boost up the other guy because he wanted to like. I think he was doing it as a favor for him, sort of thing, because he felt bad for that guy.
Or like an apology from
maybe
telling the girl that he cheated on her.
Maybe. Or who knows? Maybe he
just he didn't want to get beat up anymore, so he was just like, "Please, I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Leave me alone after this." Like,
I don't know. Or maybe he just like took the things that were there and just augmented them. He just saw this as this was great shots. This was
think,
like
everyone was watching the race, right? So he was just filming what everyone was watching.
This brings me to the one thing that I was a little bit, I don't know, I guess disappointed in was that there's no mention of any writing in this. It's all shooting and editing. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Because that's what he used to do. Like he used to do.
But like, there's no. I mean, at the end of the day, that's like such a major part of all of this is the writing part, and it really harped on the fact that he just kind of like shot stuff and then came together with a story in the edit, which isn't really what he does when he writes the stuff.
Well, he comes up with the edit when he's on set a lot of the time. Like he doesn't do a lot of storyboards and stuff like that. He kind of walks onto set and sees what he has and then figures it out, sort of thing.
Yeah,
but he still has to write the movie from like he still had
when
to
he
write
started doing movies, somebody had to write something. Well, actually, for Jaws, nobody wrote it. He was writing. Day to day. So like when they finished shooting and they got all the lines done, they didn't have lines for the next day. So he had to stay up all night until he had enough material to shoot the next day.
Right. And
see, that would have been great to have in there.
Yeah. It doesn't
like,
go that
Like
far
we're
though.
missing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, man.
I still really liked seeing how he did the special effects. Like all that stuff they did with the boards and everything.
Yeah.
There's footage in this documentary of them catching that. He did all those tricks and they reshot all this footage for this movie.
Oh, wow.
And doing that, like apparently Spielberg was crying a lot on set when they were doing all this stuff.
Because it's just like his childhood.
It was the exact same thing, yeah. He gave all the actors access to all this like family footage so they could learn how the parents looked and talked and all this stuff.
Wow.
So like the parents and the sisters and, you know, the movies that he made, like that war movie he made was like basically shot for shot of the movie that he made when he was a kid.
Cool.
So like it's pretty damn, you know.
No, I mean it was a good flick. It was a good story. It was relatable. It had, you know, all the California stuff that everybody in the world loves. It, you know, it had a lot of good stuff. And
dude, when they cut to the Boy Scouts in the Arizona desert, I was like, Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. That's when River Phoenix is the Boy Scout in the beginning of the movie. It looks the exact same.
I didn't like the scorpion part.
Oh, that was Hook.
I was like,
he took that in Hook. There was like a lot of this stuff.
Don't do this. I don't like this. What are you doing?
Have you seen Hook, DC?
Oh, God. When I was a kid.
Not for a long time.
There's a part where they stick somebody in like a treasure chest and they start dropping scorpions in it and they call it the scorpion box. In this movie, he might have like...
I see. That's
so
where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I was watching this, you know, it did get a little bit long. I'm not going to lie. Like around the high school part and some of that lead up to that, I was like, geez, this is still going. But then once they got into that next set of like storylines, you were back into being engaged again. But it was like there was a transition there where I was a little bit, you know, feeling stagnant. However, I did notice that I was sitting there with my eyes wide open like the kid was in the beginning of the movie, just staring up at the TV like, oh, like in wonder. So it was a really good one, I think. It was one for the books, especially since it's so meta for him.
Yeah.
You know.
And were you laughing throughout?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed. I laughed quite a bit.
When like he's gets the new girlfriend and she's doing all the religious shit.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
That was pretty funny.
And then he does the thing across his chest after he gets
like,
kissed.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'm good. Yeah.
That was a fun sequence.
And I thought it was cute at the end when he tells his mom that like he asked her to marry him basically, and he starts cracking up and they have a little moment. I did think, you know, as a child of divorce, it did a lot of that stuff did ring true, you know, when the parents didn't get it.
Although I was a little taken out, just like how wise the girlfriend was and how she responded, and I don't know, it seemed a little beyond the years that the way that she had a lot of insight immediately into what he was doing, which that seemed a little. It you know.
Well, I think
not that she was wrong, but it just seemed
that probably
like
happens to girls near Hollywood all the time, right?
Maybe.
In high school.
Oh, yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I assume that. I mean, that was my thought. She's, you know, I had the same thought where it's like, oh, this is kind of weird how quickly she had the answer. But I was like, oh, but she's probably seeing other people. You know, their parents moved to Hollywood. It's like the area surrounding Hollywood. A lot of the people are like trying to get to Hollywood and like
so
they have
like
kids.
Back then, especially too. Not now so
like,
much. Now it's just a fucking cesspool of bullshit. But
well, yeah, but even then, I imagine maybe if she was there again, this is just filling it in, but. Maybe she's seen that over and over and over again with her friends or like older sisters or whatever. Oh yeah, they're going to go be a famous actor or whatever, and come with me. And then
she's probably seen it not work out, right? She's like, no, it doesn't work out. You can't do that.
I mean, at the end of the day, it did seem a little bit kind of like.
But I was like,
contrived,
it was she was totally dead on, but it just seemed too dead on. Like
like too like on the nose for a kid that's in high school,
and being wise, not being too upset with him in a sense almost, but being like, oh, you poor child, look at what you're doing kind of thing. And
you poor child, yeah.
I really but the best moment is just the way that the actor delivered the line when the bully was confronting him and it is another really meta line where he says, well, you're not going to do anything like this, you know, or show anything. He's like, oh, well, unless I make a movie about it.
And
that was just great. The way
and it's like a line back to what he said to the guy back in the day, if it actually happened that way, right?
Yeah. So
you gave like, please don't punch me. I'm just joking.
And I thought it was funny because they were like buddies after that, right? You know, and they're flipping each other off.
I liked how they had their relationship.
Cool.
I thought that bully was the way his character was played was well done and sort of multifaceted.
Well, and they kind of set up that ending too in the first part where he's first met in the locker room there, and they did some of like these very subtle facial expressions when the kid was giving him shit for being a Jewish person, and then this, you know, he kind of looked at him like, oh geez, here we go again. Right. But that set it up enough to be like where you could see later on that there would be that sort of arc for that character being like, okay, this is fucked up, and you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna punch you, and then I'm gonna go back to being like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was a really good movie. I did. I thought the acting was Really, really well done.
Really good acting.
Yeah, the acting across the board. Even the younger sister there in that moment when they're about to edit when she wants her to watch the movie with him. I thought that little line where she was talking about the selfishness and the mom and all this stuff.
He
I thought
still
that
wants her to watch the film.
was
with
great.
Him. Was a good exchange.
And then she did anyway. And I thought that was great. I thought that some of the home footage that they added in there of like not real home footage, but like where they, the dad was carrying the mom in to the house that they just bought. And like he's all super happy because it's this beautiful home that he bought. And then he carries her in and she just stares at the camera because she's staring at her son and she looks like she's miserable. I thought that was like a really hard-hitting moment there that you just saw and you didn't have to hear. There wasn't any audio. There wasn't any dialogue. It was just all visual. There was a lot of good stuff like that in this that really was I think, outstanding, really, when you come right down to it.
Michelle Williams, especially, like a worse actor could have ruined this movie in that role because
100%.
She had some very strange stuff to do, like her weird dancing and her weird singing and things like that.
She could have overdone it.
Did she play the piano?
I had that question too.
Like she did.
I looked it up. I couldn't find anything, but it really looked like she was.
Like she
I think she played.
It was good too.
She also did that ballet. Like, I don't know if they can teach them all this shit, but like it was pretty believable for me. Yeah. I don't know about you, but
I bought it. I was like, damn, she can do all this. This is
I know, right?
Pretty crazy.
Well, yeah. I wonder why you're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, Paul Dano is good. It's just, I think it's just always.
There's less to do in that role, right?
Less to do. And it's just so hard. I think his performance in There Will Be Blood was so striking that's always
He's
him.
never lived up to it
He's
since.
good at everything. He was in Little Miss Sunshine. He's awesome. In Looper, he was awesome.
No, I think he's good, but I just always, when he's in that kind of neutral role, I tend to think of him as some despicable son of a bitch, because of There Will Be Blood.
Just because of like, when's he going to do it? When's he going to make the screaming, yelling, and spit coming out of his mouth?
Yeah, anyway, so it's sort of just, again, that just doesn't say that he was doing a bad job. It's just what he did was so memorable there.
Yeah. I mean, this was I can see why everyone's raving about it, especially in Hollywood and in LA. Any moviegoer in the middle of America would love this movie too. Because, I mean, if you at all love movies, and even if you're not wanting to be a part of them, if you at all love them, this is also something that like is relatable for each person that's ever seen a movie. Yeah. It's not like it's a stretch to think that like kids that watch movies are going to stare at the screen and be wowed by it and then take it home and build something that they can watch over and over again, right?
I like that whole idea in the very beginning when he was like telling his kid about they're going to sit in a dark room and all this stuff, and he's kind of afraid because like he doesn't even know what to expect.
And back in the day, yeah, right. It can happen back then, and it'll happen now. That bringing that kid into a dark space, they're going to be a little freaked out, and trying to explain what the people on the screen are, and they're not just huge people, but they're like a part of the projector. I think that was good too. That was a good first scene because it really set up everybody pretty well, right? Like the mom speaks and talks about this and this and the other thing about creative, and this is you're gonna love it. You're gonna have a smile on your face, and the dad's explaining why the thing works and like it's very technical and not really important to the kid, but that set up those characters pretty well, right?
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
And then the kid was there being like the kid's setup is just like he's going to be wowed by this and then never be able to stop, right? So it was a good opening scene, I thought too, or like the hook as you'd call it, right? It was a good hook of like this is where this movie's going now. And we've got all the little pieces we need to figure out these three characters right out of the first scene.
It's fun to think about, I'm sure all of our first exposures to, like television, right? Like we watched television first. And this kid didn't have television because it wasn't around. Right. So like the first thing he saw like on first movie he saw was in the theater. That's like the only way you could get it. So that's got to be, going from TV to theater, it's kind of like you prepare yourself. But if you're like, nothing and then theater as a kid, that's probably pretty awesome.
Right. And now you just got a mobile phone.
Yeah.
You just got
have even
screen.
more of a launch pad now.
Yeah. You don't even go in. You just sit at home and, stare at the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a good time with this one. I thought, I was not, there's no anger with me on this one, which is impressive, I guess,
These days.
And for you.
Yeah. Right. The older I get, the angrier I get.
I thought it kind of pissed me off how they threw away all the dinnerware every single meal. I was like, God damn it, this generation,
So I
you
mentioned
fucking
that.
trash
I mentioned
creators.
that. I was like, so I guess this is when it was cool to just throw stuff away every day. You didn't have to give a shit.
Would they
right?
sell like
You know?
disposable tablecloths you could just toss every day?
I guess. I had no idea. And my family never did anything like that. Like, you just,
No, they seem to
crumple it
comment
all
in
up.
the movie that it was unusual. So,
But he was
I
older,
forget
so
what
it might have been like
character.
a post-World War II thing where like, I don't know, back then they seemed like they were just advertising
Everything's disposable.
all these terrible things because they're like, we won the war. We can throw shit away. It doesn't matter.
That's
We're on
right,
top of
yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the soundtrack a lot. No one mentioned that. It's going to be John Williams' second to last soundtrack he ever does.
Really?
Yep. He's 91 years old. He's doing the next Indiana Jones with Spielberg. That's going to come out this year, apparently.
Has
Then
he
he's
said
done.
that's it?
Yep.
He said he's done.
He has to be.
It's amazing that he's still doing it. Like, it's so old that I'm questioning when I'm listening to it. Like, this is good. Is he really doing this? He's fucking 90. But I
I'm
guess,
sure he's got a lot of assistants and stuff.
Yeah. But the writing of it, like, do you think he has
Yeah. I
assistants
still think
writing the music?
No, I think he probably.
He writes it down.
I mean, he might have ideas that they put on paper for him so he can test it. But I think he's probably, as a conductor, right? Because you see him out there in some of those videos, he's just adding stuff in as he goes.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would imagine he's still doing all that. Otherwise, it's really not him. But then there's also the old age of like Hollywood where they're like, oh, yeah, slap his name on there. We'll get fuckface over there to do the thing. And then we'll put his name on it because he'll go through it and say yes or no. I mean, there's always that.
Yeah. And it'll sell more tickets. And then he'll get the Oscar.
Yep.
And he actually didn't do anything. Well, I don't know if that's
Yeah,
true. But
well,
that
that's
happens
probably not
sometimes.
true.
Yeah.
This is all assumptions.
This
but
is,
it could be a
hearsay.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghostwriters are real and they are everywhere.
Yeah. I thought one of the best shots I thought in the movie, and Spielberg is really good at this type of thing. Like the scene where Michelle Williams' mother was dying and it zooms in on the pulse on her neck and it stops. Like that was, I'm surprised. It's so simple, but like I'd never seen it done and it was done really well. And I don't know.
I
That
agree.
seems like a very Spielberg type of thing to do
Yep.
a story moment like that.
Yeah, that was good. And then that was the moment where the husband and wife started falling apart.
Yeah.
That was like, there was so much that happened in that moment for the characters, between, Michelle's character being the one that goes into depression. I mean, it just sparks this whole new ball game for these characters. And I thought that was great. All it took was the pulse and then the little push of the arm away from her shoulder. And that's it. And it just set up everything next. And I thought that was a really brilliant moment.
Agreed. Oh, TC, did you notice the LFE track? Lots of hidden. Like I noticed it about halfway through, and I rewatched some of it today. During the dramatic parts, they just had like toneless, low frequency tracks building during like the scenes where the dramatic tension is building, and they just like there's no soundtrack, like there's no music, right? But it's just the rumble,
low end.
You're right.
Yeah, right.
They do that a lot,
which is great.
Which is
it's a nice little trick.
I love it. I don't know why every movie doesn't do that. They should always.
They probably
do.
do. You may just not notice it all.
I notice it when they don't do it.
Yeah, right. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
it's like
true.
why don't I care? It's because my house isn't shaking. God damn it.
right. Because I'm not feeling it.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you got to have all the senses going.
I thought it was pretty funny how they did all this like sexual stuff for Jesus. Like they made Jesus like a sex object for young girls, and that's why they did it. And just like the getting on your knees thing and like let him inside you and all that whole.
I thought
scene
that was funny. Yeah,
as a person raised Catholic.
Let him enter you.
Naomi's sitting there. Naomi's Jewish, and I was raised Catholic. She's like, "Is this all real?" I'm like, "Kind of is." Like they're making fun of it, but like this.
If you've ever seen an evangelist before, then
they want Jesus to go. She's like, "Where does he enter?" I'm like, "I don't know, your chest or something." Like, do you like open your mouth? I don't actually know where he's supposed to enter, but he's like, he does go inside of you for some reason.
It's definitely entering your mouth.
Yeah. You ever seen the last shot of a movie be used as an editing joke or like a movie making joke when they correct the camera? I thought that was pretty good.
Well, I thought it was cool because it was based on what he said about the horizon being in the middle of the thing.
And he just said that, and they cut to that shot, and I was like, horizon's in the middle, and then they it just moves. I'm like, it's a joke.
Yep, it's a joke. And did you notice how wet the ground was?
Oh, yeah. Got to wet it down.
Yeah, you got to wet it down.
Looks
baby.
great.
And it's funny because like you see just that blue sky, and that's how it is all the time. And you're like, it doesn't rain like that here, and it still works.
But maybe it is a studio, so maybe somebody goes around like 3 times a day and wets everything.
Oh yeah,
so
they
nice.
got the water guys out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I got a documentary that I watched.
Okay.
All right.
There's some. I'm gonna try to. I put a lot of stuff in here. Generally, this documentary is pretty good, and I'll have to rewatch it for like the next 2 movies we have. We have Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List. Is that it? Not that we haven't already seen. A
Wow,
bunch
Schindler's
of his movies.
List is gonna be fucking tough, man.
That's like number
Yeah.
6, I think, on this list.
Ooh, all right, we got
Okay,
some time.
we got
We
a
got
while.
time.
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah.
We'll be coming off Lord of the Rings, and we'll go straight into Schindler's List.
Wow, that's
Oh,
a fucking
boy.
juxtaposition, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, that'll be.
So yeah, so Steven Spielberg tied at 7 with Alfred Hitchcock and Stanley Kubrick. We got 3 left. I forgot about Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow, that
Oh,
one's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Well, then, I mean, you know.
That'll be a fun one. And then Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List, which aren't as fun.
Nope.
But
And a bag of laughs.
but this documentary was pretty good. It went through all of his movies and his TV stuff up to like 2010. So if you like Spielberg, you get like a little mini documentary of what his life was like and what he was doing on each movie set. They had a decent amount of behind the scenes footage, and Spielberg basically talked through all of it and where he was and all this stuff. So, and they intercut with his past life. They had lots of stock footage of his family and stuff like that. So you can see that this movie is like as accurate as any of the footage in that documentary, makes it seem. Nothing was off.
Wow.
And whenever like people on set during this movie would ask him like, did this really happen? The answer was yes, 100% of the time. So it's true. It all happened to Spielberg.
I mean, it's kind of cool to think that like he was in a spot where he's like, I really just want to write about myself for once.
He did it because his parents used to, quote, nag him about it. Both of his parents are dead now, but there was some footage of them on this documentary. And I don't know if they got remarried, but like in their older years, they were friends again. So like in the footage, like after.
Well, that was what that line meant, right?
Which one?
We're too far along in the story to say goodbye.
Oh, yeah. But they did, in real life, split up for a while.
Say
And
the end.
Spielberg didn't talk to his dad for about 15 years of his life. And then he just kind of focused on work and all that stuff. But over time, he, after the parents got back together, I'm not exactly sure what the, series of events was, but they started talking again, and the parents kind of were together at the end of their lives too, which was nice. And it was really kind of cute because like the dad he was so happy. He was like, she loves me again. Like, and he just had like a huge smile on his face. Like, oh man, that sucks. She didn't love you for like 15 years.
Right.
That you must have been real fucking sad.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. And the mom was like reflecting on all of the stuff, like looking back at her life, reading like a list of the things that she did. She's like, I seem like a crazy person looking back at all the stuff that I did. And she turned to her husband and she's like, just like buying the monkey. Like, who buys a monkey? And it was sick. Like the monkey was dying. I went to the pet shop. They told me about it. I bought it and brought it home. So we had a sick monkey at home. And then she turns to the husband and be like, did you think I was crazy? And he looks at the camera and he goes, I like the monkey. He's like, that's all I'm going to say is I like the monkey.
We all
Yeah,
thought you
nice.
were crazy.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But so Lawrence of Arabia, for those who didn't, I don't know when we mentioned it, but I think we've talked about how Lawrence of Arabia was the reason that he got into directing. He did do all these like little small movies for a while, and then he saw Lawrence of Arabia once in the theater, and then kind of broke his dream, being like, "There's no way I can do this. This is way too much. Like this, I have to quit." So then, like for a week, he basically resigned himself from ever making movies. But then
1 week,
and then a week
1
later, he went. Well, it was big for him at least because like his entire life is like, I want to make movies. This is the only time it crushed him because the movie was to him like just too good. Like there's no
Unobtainable.
way you could do that. But then he went back a week later, and then a week later, and a week later for a while, and saw it every week for a long period of time, and then eventually became obsessed with it, and then it helped him like be even more determined somehow to make movies.
Right.
And he says he still watches that movie at least once a year still. Lawrence of Arabia.
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Larry Arabia, how you doing?
Hey,
That
Larry.
movie's so good.
Yeah.
I could totally see how somebody would become obsessed with
Yeah.
the art
Well,
form.
think about it too. If that's like one of your first experiences, too.
Yeah.
Like or early
Yeah.
on, you hadn't seen anything, and that's what you see, and that's kind of spoil
Blow
you
your
for other
minds.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think there's some poor bastard out there that our first movie was Room?
Hachi.
yeah. And then they were just like, I never want to watch a movie again.
Do all
know?
movies take place in one place and have only two characters in them? This
Yeah, what the
medium
fuck is
sucks.
That's like, I can do that at home. I don't need this.
Right. I did this on my iPhone last week.
I've seen finger puppet plays with more imagination than this movie. God damn it. Apparently, Spielberg tries to get himself in a state of nervousness and being unsure and being on the verge of having a panic attack, because that's when his mind like works the best, I guess, and he realizes that about himself. And when he feels panicked, that not only does he work all the time, but like he makes what he sees as like the best decisions he can make, sort of thing.
Wow, that's crazy.
So he puts himself in those situations while he makes movies so that he can be on his game as much as possible.
Yeah.
So he basically stresses himself out the entire time.
Probably doesn't make him real pleasant to be around either.
It does. People love him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really? Even while working?
He can hide it, apparently.
Ah.
He knows exactly what he wants. There were some people that had an issue initially, like, was it Ray Fiennes? No, sorry, it was, who's the other guy from Schindler's List? Not Ray Fiennes, but the guy who does all the Taken movies now.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah. He was directing him so much, like the scene where he's smoking a cigarette, he told him exactly like where to move his hand and how slowly and shit. And it really pissed him off because he's like, dude, I'm not a puppet. I'm a fucking actor.
Right.
But then
right.
I think Ben Kingsley was just like, just let it happen. Like it's Spielberg, let it happen. And he gave into it and, did he get an Oscar? He got nominated at least. But some people just like, he knows exactly what he wants, and his like, the blocking and everything is precise. The camera movements are precise. And they all come from him, and mostly from the day of. Like he's on set figuring it out, and then he's telling people what to do individually, and then they roll and get it.
It's awesome.
So he's pretty, he's a fucking talented guy. He's a legend. It's not a mistake that he's made all these movies. He's really good at this somehow. He used to scare his sisters as a kid. He used to like set up, the one example he gave was he put a skull in the closet and put like red wax all over it so it looked like blood.
Didn't they do this bit in the movie?
Yeah, but like the movie looked like fun, but like he would do it to torture his sisters in reality.
Oh, wow.
And he would like lock them in the closet, and he'd brace the door so they couldn't get out, and he would just listen to them scream in the closet.
That's weird.
It is weird. And he's like, I feel bad about it. And then he retracted. He's like, no, I don't. It's still pretty funny. I'd do it again. You're like, what?
Yeah.
But his sisters, who were also in the documentary, we were talking about how like he started off by scaring us, and he loved scaring us. So all he did his career was just scare bigger and bigger audiences. So he graduated from that.
Right. So they're the reason why he is who he is. You know?
He learned he liked it.
He was they were the test subjects for
He's like, this is great.
Honing his craft. Yeah.
Because most of his movies have pretty scary parts, right? All the Indiana Jones have at least one scary part in them. Jaws is pretty scary. Gremlins, he didn't direct, but he produced, and that was frightening to kids. And like Poltergeist, he did direct, supposedly, and that was very frightening. E.T., it's pretty scary, right? Because like E.T. almost dies and stuff, and that's pretty frightening to kids.
Pretty tense moments.
Yeah, there's like FBI agents and shit, and people have guns, and so he likes to scare people. There's like scary moments in every one of his movies.
I mean, there were some moments here that were tense. When he knew he was going to get the shit kicked out of him, right? I was like, oh, fuck. He's fucked, right? And, and then he, got hit pretty good.
Yeah. Spielberg was bullied a lot, mostly for being Jewish.
Damn.
All this stuff where he was like a transplant, like all that stuff was accurate, and all the problems that this character had were, reflective of Steven Spielberg's problems, which probably pretty typical.
Yeah.
When Spielberg was a young man, he would sneak into the back lots of studios. I feel like we've mentioned this before too.
Yeah, I think you have.
Right.
Yeah.
But we talked about that with Hitchcock.
Yeah. Hitchcock. Okay. So so one of the stories was that he broke onto the set of Hitchcock once, and this one's true because a lot of people remember it happening, but he got kicked off because he snuck into a Hitchcock shoot once, which is kind of awesome. But he used to, the trick, he said he had a bunch of tricks, but the one he was willing to share because it no longer works is he would go on a tour bus and they'd have a bathroom break, and he'd go stand in the bathroom until there was no sound, and he'd wait like half an hour, and he'd go out and there'd be no bus, and he'd have a free reign, and he would basically
be on the lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there are rumors, even though some people said this is false, but there's a lot of rumors that this happened, where he found an empty office somewhere on like in the one of the studios he was breaking into, and set himself up an office, like put his own name on the desk and everything, and worked out of it for like 3 months. Like before he got any actual job in a studio. So there's no crazy. Some people were skeptical of that one, so I don't know if that one's totally true, but I thought that was
It's a cool
fun,
little
fun to think about
Yeah, it is fun to think about it. Yeah,
But he did used to break in a lot. That definitely happened.
that's definitely not a thing anymore.
Nope.
You get arrested and put in jail for that.
Yeah.
Now,
Sid Sheinberg. We've heard that name a lot before. He's a producer. He Spielberg directed like some movie. I forget, some TV movie, and Sheinberg saw it when like Spielberg was 20, and when he was 20, gave him a 7-year deal to do TV for the studio. And at the time, that was like the youngest person they'd ever signed for the studio, and everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people hated him, right? Because like he was this young guy that kind of jumped over all the hoops. I think we did lose. Hey, TC, you there?
I'm here. I don't
okay.
know
I
what
just
happened.
lost your video. Just
Video's
left.
down.
There you go. Sorry.
That was weird.
Anyway,
But so like a lot of people, like there was like a ranking system, you know, like you do your time and you get promoted sort of thing in Hollywood, and Spielberg kind of jumps
Right.
over
right.
all that shit.
Right.
And the first thing he directed was Joan Crawford. So like she was a legendary actor, and he pissed her off when he was directing her, but he wasn't afraid of her at all, even though she was like, I don't know, known to be intimidating. And he got a really good performance out of her that she liked. So like that gave him really good credit. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he was fine.
Yeah. And then
he managed to get this one to fucking do something, right? You know,
as a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah, right. Well, they kind of gave you that feel when he was going up against some of those bullies, right?
Yeah.
That he had some nerve to him, because he would say stupid shit to them and then get his ass beat. But he still stood up to them and wouldn't do it, especially with the Jewish stuff. So I could see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes some balls to break into a fucking studio.
Yeah.
It definitely does. He's not like a little scaredy cat by any means.
Have you guys seen Duel?
No.
TV movie that got him a lot of attention. George Lucas discovered him because of that movie. He saw it. George Lucas was already directing and stuff when Duel came out, and he was like, I'll check out the first 15 minutes. And he ended up sitting through it and watching the whole thing, and found him and became friends with him. There was a lot of footage of Spielberg, Lucas, Brian De Palma, and Martin Scorsese. So those Those four guys were like friends back in the 70s, and they had like a little directors group back when they were like, changing Hollywood, basically. Those four directors, they're still famous.
I got a movie. It's about an Italian guy. What do you think? You think it's good?
So a good story they had was when all these four guys were hanging out, George Lucas showed them a screener of Star Wars without any of the special effects. So he just had like the World War II fighter footage in the TIE fighter shots and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And after they saw the movie, they went out to Chinese food, and Brian De Palma, he said he stood up and started yelling at Lucas. He's like, what is this? Who are these people? Where are they? Who is that hairy guy? I don't understand any of this fucking movie. And basically, it almost got to blows. Lucas was pissed, and Brian De Palma was shitting all over the movie. But because of that interaction, he was just like, you need something to explain what this shit is in the very beginning. Because I'm lost the entire thing. This makes absolutely no sense. So that's when they came up with the Star Wars crawl, where they just had the
the prologue,
in every single Star Wars movie, it's
like
explains
a no-no
to you, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have,
but the Star
sometimes
Wars
it's
got
good.
away with it because it's part of the shtick,
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing in a book, right? The prologues aren't exactly, gives
you a little bit of a backstory, and movies are quicker too.
Yeah.
So Jaws was huge. His next movie was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was for Columbia Pictures. Columbia Pictures was going bankrupt and threw the rest of their money at Close Encounters. So Spielberg knew when he was making that movie that studio was in the line, basically. But that movie made a shit ton of money too. So hooray, Columbia's still around.
Mm-hmm.
The behind the scenes of E.T. was great because it showed him directing kids. It was pretty cool. He seemed to get along with the kids really well. And the kids responded to him really well.
I feel like Woody Allen would do that too, though.
Spielberg's fine. He's a good guy.
I couldn't help myself.
That's
it was
all
just
you think.
queued it up.
And despite Spielberg's his box office was huge, going through the 70s, going to the early 80s, studios still didn't want to touch him because he would always go over budget and over schedule. And even though he was a guaranteed moneymaker, studios need people that can finish on time and within budget. That's just kind of typical working environment. And so for Raiders, so he promised George Lucas and I'm not sure what other legal documents he had to sign, but he promised him he'd keep Raiders under 20 million, which was the budget. And he did on that one. So that's good. So Sid Sheinberg, the guy who gave him his first job, was also the guy that gave him the book Schindler's List in 1982. And Spielberg wanted to make it, after he read it, he knew he was going to make the movie, but he wasn't ready for it. So it took him, 10 years basically to be ready to make it. But
that's pretty cool, huh? He's like, I want to do this, but there's no way I can do this right now. And then once he got a little bit more mature and in the craft, he was ready. That's a good little.
He made Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year.
Jesus,
isn't that fucking crazy? The movie with the most special effects in it at the time, like creating CG special effects, and the most intense World War II movie ever made in the same year, within 12 months.
Huh? That is impressive.
Yeah. Guess how many kids he has?
6.
That's a good guess.
How many?
7.
Ah, shit! I was close.
That's a lot of kids.
The way you said it, I knew it had to be.
Yeah,
high.
I wouldn't ask if it was a low number. That's a lot of kids.
Right. Imagine if you were like 1.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
No children. He doesn't like to talk about it.
Yeah. Right.
And that's all I got.
Nice. It's a great movie.
Yeah, really good.
Go see it.
John, would you recommend it to people?
I don't know. It was different than what I expected, but people seem to like it. Like it has looking at the audience score and Rotten Tomatoes and so forth, it's like in the 80s. And
it was very feel good. It was very kind of, it
was
felt
very,
light.
I mean, it was a little bit dark about the divorce stuff. So it could see why maybe not with kids that young, but I do think it's you can go bring the family if they're above a certain age and all enjoy the film.
They talked about how a lot of his movies though, like E.T., the parents are divorced, and there's a lot of conversations about like the movie was basically like before it had an alien in it, Spielberg was writing a story about a kid living through divorce who was lonely, and he's like,
so
what is the lonely
writing
kid?
A story for 20 years.
Close Encounters was about a dysfunctional family. Jaws had a somewhat dysfunctional family.
Stories.
Yeah.
These are realistic stories.
And he admitted, like, for the past 50 years, I've been remaking generally the same family drama over and over again with just different shit going on in the background.
Right.
Which is pretty true. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like the core plot is still about family dysfunction.
Catch Me If You Can, family dysfunction.
Right.
I guess Poltergeist is like functional family.
Yeah.
It's pretty functional. But he didn't, he did write that, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He wrote that one. Raiders, not really. Well, dysfunctional family, yeah. Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Absentee dad.
Well, even then, like a dysfunctional relationship with Marion in the first one, too. Like, so.
Yeah, common theme. Okay. Top 250 on this one?
Yes.
John.
Probably. Yeah.
Don't be bullied, John.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I just, hearing you guys talk about it helps me feel better about it. I don't know, just kind of the week that we've been having or whatever, where we're just like flat. And Nikki and I both felt the same way about it. Kind of like, I think that was good. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Were you guys laughing throughout it or no?
Not throughout, no.
I think if you don't really, if you're not, I mean, I know you are, John, but I think for some people too, if you're not fully invested into movies and like what it does for the world, this could go either way, I think. Yeah. And if you're not in a good mood, I could definitely see it being like,
I think we were really tired when we watched
it.
So I'll put it down to some mood.
Yeah. I feel you on that one, John. It's, it was an undertaking to watch this, by the way.
It's a long one.
It's a long one. I had to break it up into 2 days.
That would have been
this one seems like it would be good rewatching. I plan on rewatching this at some point because it was.
You know what was good is that there's a point where it fades to black in the middle, and that's where I stopped it, and it was a beautiful spot to pick it back up again the next day.
I, for some reason, just in my notes, I just drew a line across my paper. I never do that. I was like, this is where that cut was. Because,
right. But yeah,
that's right before they moved to Arizona, right? That's like what they do.
Yeah,
next.
right. Exactly. It's exactly right when they're on their next. When they're on their next phase.
Yeah.
So it did work. I mean, that really was probably Act 2. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the acts really, but.
Well, we got another. This one actually isn't that
Jenny,
long.
what are you going to put it on top 250 or not?
I'll put it on the top 250. Oh yeah. Got to honor Spielberg, and only a way Spielberg can honor himself, sort of thing. Kind of weird, but
made a movie about himself.
Yeah, but he deserves it.
Yeah,
it's better than Fellini making a movie about himself because that movie didn't make any damn sense.
This doesn't feel very braggy the way some of those other films do either.
No.
It's trying to say something about art too, and how it's not. it's not glorifying it in some ways. I mean, it's not. It's it's showing that it's impactful to people, but it's not saying necessarily that it's like a happy path in a lot of ways either.
Or easy.
Right.
You can't just stand in front of a phone and do stupid shit and call that art.
Right.
All right, guys, we're going back to the list next week. What do we think? So I looked at
what
like
about Oscar time?
so
Is there anything else we're doing Oscar time?
none of the Ford movies are available beyond the All Quiet on the Western Front, which I want to hold off on until we can get a commentary. There are other Best Regular Picture nominees, but
yeah,
I mean, do
They
you want to go
suck.
through the list right now? We can, like, Top Gun is one of them.
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah, it's entertaining. I don't
It
really
was
want to.
entertaining
I don't
as
want to do an
fuck.
episode about it.
I don't either.
It's a popcorn
I don't
film.
either. But it was definitely a popcorn film.
Boy,
is
that
the perfect way
Maverick's
to
a
put it.
good flyer, and
Man, he's got a hell of a smile, that guy.
He's
You
a
know?
good flyer.
Yeah.
We have Tar available.
Oh yeah, Tar. We never
Oh,
made
you can
I
rent
want
it.
that.
You can rent it now.
I want to see Tar.
Let's go see
I
that.
know it's not going to be a happy film, but I'm really interested in
So
it.
Tar, dude, Elvis. Holy shit! Have either of you watched Elvis?
No.
We watched like the first.
Oh my god, it's like the worst movie I've
Yeah.
seen in like 10 years.
Oh really?
Dude, it's so yeah. What do you mean, really? It was so
Well,
bad.
we watched it.
Was it?
I mean, it's. One thing I will
Dude,
say,
Tom
easily
Hanks-
the worst Tom Hanks performance ever was what I was
It
about to
really
say.
hurt- dude,
Like-
you should watch it literally just
Really?
for 15 minutes and just be like, what the fuck was anybody thinking with this?
Damn.
It is. It's the worst
musical
thing
numbers
ever.
are good. I mean, the singing's
No,
good.
they're
I
not.
like
They
watching them.
modernize all the sound and they
Yeah.
don't play a lot of the songs. There's the scene where like they're going down that famous street and I forget where it was, but they had like they should have played old music, but they play like trap R&B that's like modern.
Huh?
They played modern music in the Elvis movie.
That doesn't make any
No,
sense.
the whole movie was fucking awful and it hurt to watch.
So then we're not watching that.
No,
Okay,
but you should
that's
watch
fine.
15 minutes of it because Tom Hanks starts the movie and you'll like have your mouth open and you'll be like, wow,
What is
wow.
this? Yeah.
It's
You guys
it's
made
so
this?
bad. Yeah.
It's like the Cocaine Bear movie. It's like someone fucking
I'm,
put
I'm
money
going.
into this.
I'm going tomorrow night.
Someone
Opening
put
night.
money to this?
Is
Who
it
fucking
opening
made?
night?
Who
Cocaine
financed
Bear?
this?
Dude, it looks
From
so
the
good.
people that
Can't
brought
believe
you
this.
steaks on the plane, I guess. I mean, who?
Unbelievable.
It looks really good.
I saw that fucking trailer and I'm like, you're telling me that there's people that have trouble making movies in this town?
You didn't think the trailer
Look at
looks
that
good?
fucking thing. Oh my God. No, I think it looks ridiculous.
Oh, it looks so funny.
I thought, yeah, but I mean, director.
I mean, if it's funny, let me know, Denny. I'll
Will
watch
do.
it if it's really funny.
I laughed
mean,
at the
you know.
trailer, so if you didn't laugh at the trailer, you know,
Oh.
there might be
I
a
was
difference
just like,
there.
no, I was more flabbergasted that someone would make this movie.
I
Like,
remember when
it's-
the
it hit
story
the desk.
when the story happened, there was a story of a package of cocaine falling off a plane, a bear eating it and dying, and then like within a month, someone was like, "They're making a movie about the bear." And I'm like, "What?
Oh my
You
God.
can't make a fucking movie about
Movie.
that."
Apparently you can.
But yeah, but the bear died like pretty immediately in reality. But in
Immediately,
this
right,
movie,
right.
it gets violent and angry and runs around and kills people. I assume.
oh my God.
It looks good. But that's not nominated for Best Picture. We got Avatar: Way of the
No.
Water. I do not want to watch that movie. Fabelmans
Okay.
was nominated. We just watched that one. Triangle of Sadness was pretty good.
A pretty weird
Pretty
film.
good.
We
Yeah.
saw that on
Triangle
the,
of
on the-
Sadness. Don't even know what it is. Who's in it?
Saw it on the plane ride.
It's a foreign movie. It's like a very rare
yeah.
foreign movie Best Picture nominee.
It's
Sadness.
Force Majeure. I saw that by him. I really like
Yeah,
that film
that was
by
really
the
good.
same director.
Ooh, doesn't have a very good score.
It doesn't.
Well, this one,
No.
Nikki.
I thought it
hated
was really.
kinda.
Oh, really?
I th- I
72% on Rotten
it's long.
Tomatoes, 63% on Metacritic, 7.4 on IMDb.
It's definitely an arty type of movie.
I liked parts of it. I certainly.
I mean, it's got Woody in it. I'm a big
Oh, yeah,
fan.
no,
he's
no,
not, he's
Woody's
not in
really
it
good
very
in it,
much
too.
though. It's
no,
disappointing.
but he is. He's got some great scenes.
He's
in
a
it.
good character. Yeah,
Yeah,
but he's.
Um,
I wish there was more of him in it, but he's very.
I do. I liked his character too. But yeah.
So we could do that
Um,
one. I'm not sure I'd want to watch that one again, to be honest.
See, so let's not then, because
Okay.
I'm not. I'm like almost
That was
neutral on it
easy.
because there's like separate sequences that I really liked, and then others that I didn't really like as much. Like
Yeah.
the last third was like me.
That was a weird
I
with the
thought-
submarine thing or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
The
just
beached-
the whole
the beached,
the whole
Yeah.
yeah. That one that was not nearly. I think the highlight of it was the boat scenes.
Oh yeah.
To me, and so it was sort of downhill after that. It was not that it was horrible or anything, but yeah.
You should look up how they did the boat scenes, John. There's a behind the scenes on YouTube.
What do you think? 80
It's
for
amazing.
80 for Brady?
Are we talking about
See that one?
right, TC? Are we talking about the vomit scenes or just everything?
Just the boat. Like they
I mean-
built a fucking thing in a studio that moved everything around.
Oh yeah.
and they were acting on this like contraption thing.
If you ever want to see like shit going insane on a boat, like
best vomiting scene in a movie.
Best,
oh my God, it's so good.
Multiple top 5 vomiting scenes
of all time. Yeah.
No, I mean like the
It's
first
worth it
1
just
through
to see
5.
that
I
one
mean,
scene.
there are multiple vomiting scenes.
Everybody
that are all
vomits.
pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, that whole boat sequence was really fantastic. But it was kind of like
it had a
the
lot
rest
to
of it
say at
was-
the end, and it kind of hit you over the head with a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, what are we going to watch?
We're reviewing Triangle of Sadness
we're
right now,
reviewing
TC.
Triangle of Sadness. So there it is. What do you think, Denny? Top 250?
Nah,
Yeah,
worth a
right.
watch.
I mean,
If you
either-
like
okay.
art house movies, go see it. If you
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
probably skip
Yeah,
it.
it's interesting. At some point, I might want to do Force Majeure, though. I really did like that one.
That was a good one.
Okay,
we already
so-
saw Everything Everywhere. We already saw
Yep,
All
yep.
Quiet. We're waiting on Top Gun. No thanks. Women Talking. Could that be good? The name sounds boring. Not to be sexist. If it was
but to be
not to be
it was
sexist, if it was
men
men
talking,
talking, it would also
would
sound
be
boring.
equally-
It's, yeah,
boring.
women talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that one.
It's got
I don't know.
Frances
I get enough
McDormand
of that
in it,
with
though.
my girlfriend, and
Yeah.
you get enough of that with your wives.
That's
I'm
being
sure.
sexist, TC. He was not being sexist.
That is being sexist.
Yes.
Yes. Women talking.
No,
No.
That sounds horrible.
That's brutal. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Let's see. Is it even available? So I think Tar's the
I
Tar's
think
the
we should
ticket.
do Tar. Tar.
It's
Yeah.
not
let's
available
do
to
Tar.
rent. It's $20 to buy. No, thank you. We'll wait till.
I want to do Tar. and
You
peop-
gotta
a lot-
get
a lot of
20 bucks
people
to get
are-
the women talking. Come on,
Yeah.
do that shit for free.
A
So-
lot of people are talking about her performance.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I
Yes.
think she's a fantastic actor too. So
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm down to watch.
So
Tar.
I'd like to. Yeah,
Sweet.
I think we should see it. It's not. I know it. From what little I know about it, it's not going to be a happy film.
No,
But,
I know it's going to be stressful, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be about music. It's going to be about
Right.
getting canceled. It's
Again-
going to be
again,
all the
create-
things that like I should,
creating
I
art
will be
and
when they're
stuff.
canceled, and I'm sure I'll get something.
And if you ever feel
Tar
sad,
is-
just remember that whenever you get sad enough where we stop doing these sad Oscar nominees, we have Terminator 2 on the horizon, so you should feel happy about that.
Ooh, baby,
Hooray.
baby. Yeah, okay, so Tar it is. That sounds good.
Sweet.
We'll do that next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good,
Talk
guys.
to you guys then.
All right. Bye.
Stop 'em.